right, hello beautiful souls. Welcome to today's live video. Today we're going to do a video on Mars opposite the Sun, and it's going to be very exciting. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through what this transit means for each sign of the zodiac. This is a transit that's happening on January 15th, 2025. And if you are wanting to know about the North and South Node, changing signs and entering Pisces and Virgo and all of that, then watch the video on that after you watch this one. Then you'll be all up to speed on everything. So I need to check my sound and then we will be able to proceed. So I think it's working, but let me just check on the sound, and then we're going to go from Aries all the way through Pisces. You can watch your sun, moon, and rising. It's recommended to watch all three. I gotta do a couple things here, and then we'll be ready to go. How are you guys doing? How is everybody? How are you guys feeling? Yeah, let me see here. If you can hear me, that'd be great to chat me if you're jumping on. And then we'll go ahead. And if you're watching the replay, there should be timestamps at some point. Keep in mind that those don't, like I have to do those, or someone else watching has to add them. They don't just magically show up instantly. So if you're watching right after the live and you don't know why there aren't timestamps, that's why. Okay, I'm doing something. What am I doing? I'm checking the sound. Okay, yeah. I keep having some issues with it, so let me try some bells. See if that's a little bit better. Okay, so I gotta fix it. Let me see. Sometimes I think it just doesn't pick up the right microphone. Okay, guys, bear with me here. Okay, maybe this will be better. Let me see. This is any better. I think it got better, but one second. Okay, let me try this again. Oh, maybe it worked. Okay, so sorry about the delay. We really are going to do this no matter what. I just have some issues with my sound sometimes. And it's super fun on the lives because I can't check it immediately because it's a live, so it's a little bit delayed. Okay, so sorry about the delay. We really are going to do. Okay, I think we're good. So I think our sound is good and we're going to go ahead. If anyone notices that it sounds crappy, please let me know. Or if there's like a huge, very loud noise in the background. Okay, so what we're doing today is we are doing this live. It's going to be on the Mars opposite the sun, and this is going to be for all signs of the zodiac. So it's for Aries through Pisces. You can watch your sun, moon, and rising. And there's one thing you should know that I want to announce, and then we'll get straight into the video. Well, there's two things. The first thing is that I'm doing the blocks to blessings. I'm doing the blocks to blessings videos. These are personal videos you get made by me. I am putting a link in the top of the chat so everyone who wants that can get in on it. They are open now. And people really like these. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, I recommend it. It's probably the thing people like the most of everything I do. So that being said, the other thing to know is that the North and South Node changed signs yesterday. So if you're ready for an energy shift, we're going to have one. And then you can watch the video on that. There's a whole video just dedicated to what that shift does to all the different signs of the zodiac. That video is on the channel, so you can check that out. Let's get into the video today, which is going to be Mars opposite the sun. All right, so I have the chart up here, and keep in mind that because there's an exact moment where the sun becomes exactly opposite Mars, but because I'm going around the wheel so it stays on the right rising sign, because of that, it will not be it will not be exactly on that every time. Okay, so let me go and see. I'm going to also, whoops. I'm going to add these little things because it's easier. So I better do this now before I forget. And let me know in the chat, you guys, how's everyone feeling with the energies? I thought this year was going to start moving faster for me personally because my last year's chart was like kind of slow stagnancy, stuckness. And so far, no. Maybe a little bit actually. Not as I thought. I'd be a little bit more of like a life speeds up. It feels a little bit more to me like I'm slowing down to speed up. Like I am just slowing down, but in a way that is aligned and good for me and right. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Let me get to, okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we are on Aries. We're on Mars opposite the sun, and that is going to be this transit happening on the 16th. So because we're doing this today, Sunday, you might feel this energy starting to build up. Everybody might. And so for Aries, what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at maybe issues with work-life balance, right? Mars Sun is going to be things with confidence, willpower. Some people are going to feel stretched and stressed. Other people are going to feel proud and like they need to have courage and like there's something to step up to overcome. A way to feel confident, so that it can go both ways depending on a lot of things. But for Aries, we have Mars in your 4th house. It's retrograde, the sun in the 10th house. While Mars rules you, your life, and your eighth house of like debt, taxes, money tied up with other people, the other side of the veil, right? So this whole time Mars has been in Cancer. So this is beyond just this month, but we're probably seeing, actually, no, Mars was in Leo and it retrograded back into Cancer, and it will go direct in Cancer. So what I'm trying to say, Aries have a few months time of probably getting some psychic or intuitive insights. This would be really good timing for that, actually. So retrogrades aren't always bad. Sometimes they're good for something. And this one has that potential to be good for just being good for like things where you would connect with your innermost self, things where you would need to pay attention to how you feel, things where you would be at home more. Now with the sun in the 10th, it's usually there's a little bit more focus on work during this time. Your work is more visible, but the sun rules your 5th house. So it's possible something you created is a little more visible during this time. And because it's the 5th house for Aries with kids, it could be one of your kids is having a moment where they're more visible, and something in their life becomes more visible. It's more about how they're stepping up and showing up in the public eye or something. So that's one possibility there. And what else? Let me see. Okay, yeah. So then that's just Mars being in Cancer, ruling the 8th house, is like insights, wisdom, awareness, psychological realizations. This is the timing for this right now. Really, really good timing to look at things that you're afraid of. With Saturn in the 12th, Venus there making it better, helping the medicine go down, so to speak, with therapy or with the dark night of the soul or spiritual realities, especially harsh ones. And then, Mars in that 4th house being all about taking more action to feel aligned, taking more action to be where you want to be on an emotional level. So that is that. Now, what does opposition mean for Aries? Well, it means the 5th house stuff, your creativity, is going to be taking you one way and fun. And then your life direction is going to be on the other side. So it's almost like, the major opposition here is work-life balance. Maybe feeling like you need to be you go all in at work and then you go home and you go all in on something at home. So this could be as simple as going to work and putting your heart and soul into it, and then coming home and working on your deck and staining it or something, right? So it could be something like that, where that Mars in the 4th is you redoing things around your home that require action. But it could also be just showing up in the public role that you have. Usually that's your job. And then showing up strong in the private role that you have. Okay, usually that's going to be the private life, whatever that is, the emotional life, how you feel. So there's a tension and a dynamic energy here. So we can also consider that 5th house as, if you have a business, is going to be your business really requiring you to be probably more visible, but also the pressure of dealing with, just dealing with the things that maybe aren't how you want them to be, or dealing with the things that maybe are like, I don't know, the things that are like, let me see, just that are more on the emotional needs. I do feel like sometimes this kind of transit is probably going to be more like setting aside certain emotional needs so you can take care of the needs, what the world needs from you, and that's totally fine. And then going back to taking care of your home, making it more comfortable. And there's a feeling that it's not resolved yet. There's a feeling that it's like, if it's about therapy, it's like the problem has been opened, but it hasn't been resolved. We're dealing with the issue. If it's the deck, it's like you've pulled out all the the bad pieces of wood, but it's a total mess. It's not like nothing's put back together yet. So for Aries who might be feeling like things are not put back together, just know that you're probably right on track. And work-life balance is the theme of this opposition. Now let's do the next sign, which is going to be Taurus. So let me change it on the thing. All right, so we are on Taurus, and it looks like Kiki left a comment here. Let me check it out. Same here. I've had to accept there is no action I can do right now. The universe isn't allowing it. Yeah, I don't love those moments. If I'm being honest, I always want to just push through it, but there are times where that is not the most prudent thing to do. Okay, on to Taurus. So for Taurus, for this Mars Sun opposition, we have Mars in the 3rd house, Sun in the 9th house. So this opposition is, one way this might show up is knowing something versus communicating what you know. And with these planets the way they are, this might be a time where you find yourself learning more or studying more or putting more energy on the learning side of the learning side of the equation, taking in the information, finding a new spiritual YouTube channel, finding a new book you want to read. Just unless you're a publisher or a writer who publishes, I think that Sun in the 9th house is Taurus, really connecting with what is your path, what is your purpose, what is your big mission in life, what is meaningful to you. The Sun is illuminating this every Capricorn season, but with the opposition to Mars, we have a push and pull dynamic between, am I going to seek that greater mission, or am I going to stay in the comfort of the village? You know, it's kind of like, for some reason, I think of like The Hobbit and like every movie in the hero's journey where you get that the hero refuses the call, right? You get the offer to go on the big mission, the big quest, and the hero says, that's a bad idea. And then, you know, in the movies, something happens and they always go, right? But in our lives, we do have the option to refuse the call. And with Mars in the 3rd, it makes me feel like there's something in the neighborhood or local environment that is detracting from the mission. And that doesn't mean that things shouldn't be there. Everyone's going to be different on this. But it really, Mars in that 3rd house could be a sibling, cousin, aunt, or uncle, or it could be like transportation is an issue. It's almost like the metaphor here would be, I want to go abroad, but what am I going to do with my car? I can't take it with me overseas, and I don't want to get rid of it. It's going to be here. What do I do? How do I store a car for a year or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. That's the kind of overall energy. It's like there's a desire or illumination of a dream or a goal or a hope or a wish or a something meaningful, but then there might be something in the local environment that is getting in the way, stopping it. And some of it could have to do with other people because Mars rules your relationships. Now, if you don't have a relationship, then that is not that. It could be close friendships, but it could also be, what are you doing every day? And this is what I'm going to leave Taurus with, because this is just a tense point that I think will come to pass in a few days. This isn't like a life-changing thing, but the question here is, are your habits, are your errands, are the places you go on a regular basis stopping you somehow from going on a bigger mission? How you're living your life day to day contributing to or taking away from the bigger mission? Because right now with that Sun in the 9th, you should be able to connect with that more easily at this moment, especially having it just gone through a trine with Uranus. So especially what was being realized the last couple of days? Did you have any insights? And keep in mind, come the 15th, okay, so we're looking at, today's the 12th, so that's Wednesday. This Wednesday, really be mindful of any awarenesses around this. Okay, so going on now to our next sign, which is going to be our Geminis. And let me get the little thing up here. All right, so we have it up for Gemini. Alchemy saying my natal sun is 29 degrees of Cancer. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. This one will probably be really significant for you then. And oh, that takes it off. Okay, so back to nope, Geminis. So for Gemini, this Mars Sun opposition, we're looking at your 2nd and 8th house. So that's going to be my money versus other people's money. And so that's going to be, it'll bring up all the issues that could have that as a theme. So that could be taxes, inheritance, investing, anyone owing you money, you owing anyone money, needing to pay things back, people paying you back, giving someone a loan, taking out a loan. I don't think it's probably those bigger things, but it might be an issue of this is how much I'm making versus how much I'm owing. The owing side has more positive energy than the money making side right now. It doesn't mean forever, but it's just the money making is getting a Mars retrograde going through it. So it's like there might be questions of, am I making enough money to pay off my debt? Am I making enough money to invest and am I getting the return on my investments? Whatever. And what have you invested in that may not be money wise? That is it taking away from your own financial stuff? Maybe this is a day or two where it's almost like, I almost feel like you're babysitting someone else's kids and you don't get paid for it, but you're just investing into another person. And then it's just the money, there's no money from that. It doesn't have to be a horrible thing. Or, you could have this overarching thing where you're reconsidering not only how you're making your money, but what are your hopes and dreams, right? Mars rules your 11th house of hopes and dreams. And the sun rules your 3rd house of your mind, your communication, but also your day-to-day routine. Not routine, but like places you go, things you visit, like places you visit, places you go, the errands you run, your embodied self. So right now the embodied self is in the 8th house of the other side of the veil. And the hopes and dreams are in the money house. These planets don't really do what they're supposed to be doing here. So your bank can't be filled with hopes and dreams, right? Hopes and dreams don't pay the bills. So there might be some of that where there's a realization of that, but it might not be that. Your finances could be totally fine. There's just a question mark of like, what would the question mark be? Well, my money versus other people's money. And it might not be a question mark. It might be a time where you're getting more invested into you and you're not contributing as much. And that's just one of the seasons of life you're in. That could just be it. And then the other thing I would think would be the 3rd house also rules writing. So having the planet of writing in the 8th house of transformation in the other side of the veil, you might just be, if you're a writer, if you journal or something, you might be doing more of that. Like it's almost like pulling tarot cards and then writing what they mean, like actually writing it down or doing some kind of automatic writing or something. That's not going to be everyone. It'll just be some people. But yeah, I do feel like this push and pull is going to be, how much am I focusing on my own goals, plans, and how much am I focusing on others? This might just be a time where, I kind of did say this, but really the overall thing I get for Geminis is like, you might be more focused out right now. You might be more focused on others. You might be more focused on the people around you and their goals and dreams and like investing in them. And that might just be like a natural thing. It might not be a problem. Yeah, so that's what I have for Geminis. Okay, so going on to our next sign, which is going to be Cancers. Let me get it to that. I'm using Luna. It's called Luna. So we're going to Cancer. All right, Cancers. Let's get it on your sign here. All right, so this Mars Mars Sun opposition is going to be in your 1st and 7th house. So this one is like, one, it's significant because we've got it happening in angular houses, but also it's significant because, well, that's it. I mean, that's because it's like the difference between you and other people. So relationships are always going to be highlighted when the sun's in the 7th. And then having it opposite Mars might illuminate something related to your work, your role, your public role in life, or your creativity. Maybe both connected to each other, like how creative you can be in your job or can't be might be an issue. And because it's the sun opposite Mars, sometimes we see power struggles or issues with authority, and Mars ruling the 10th house makes me feel like maybe your boss is telling you you can't do certain things. Maybe there's a little bit of a power dynamic going on there that's going to be like just present for a little bit. It may not be that. It might be, Mars going retrograde, ruling your 10th house, you reassessing your role in your company or in your job, or just taking a look at, is this the right fit for me? If you have your own business, Mars retrograde is you kind of reassessing the business probably. And 1st, 7th house stuff is usually it has to do with when there's someone else that you are like making a sacrifice for, or there's just a lot of energy being put on someone else. And usually this is an imbalanced time, right? So like, think of like when you're in a relationship and you first start dating and all you do is see them, and it's like you're totally out of balance, and it's wonderful because you're in love. Okay, so then, yeah, so there's that where it's like, it could just be a time where you're in an imbalance. It doesn't have to be like a breakup. So anyone thinking that, I wouldn't read that from just a general reading like this. But we have Mars there in the 1st house, really giving a really life important change, reassessment, or going back over something related to work or creativity or self-employment or kids. And now there's another person involved. So it could just be, sometimes it's just like, oh, I want to do my workouts, but I met this partner and now we're spending all our time together and I'm not getting my workouts in, right? It could be something like that where there's something you normally do to take care of your physical body and you're not doing it because of something you need to do for somebody else. But the sun is also your money planet. So it could be work. Work is stressful is kind of what I see here, because the money is opposite the 10th house ruler. So what could that mean? Well, maybe you have to do some work that you don't get paid for, and that is causing tension. Or maybe you're not getting paid as much as you'd like to. Or maybe around the 15th, you're waiting for a check and it's just tense because you really need it, or something along those lines. It could be something a little bit more everyday like that. But it does feel like it would probably, I would guess it would probably come, but I hate saying stuff like that on a general reading. And why I would guess that? Because the moon is in the 2nd, so the moon's filling up the bank account. Or, the bank account's waxing and waning at this time. Maybe you're overspending on the 15th, or not even overspending. Maybe you're just spending and it drains your account. So at one point in the day you have money and one point of the day you don't have as much money, or vice versa, where you start off the day waiting for that to come in and then it comes in. And because when the moon goes through the 2nd, It's like it's like a temporary fluctuating energy. Okay? Temporary. Okay, going on now to Leos. For Leos, we have, let me get it on Leo. So for Leos, yeah, for this Mars opposite Sun, we have Mars in the 12th, opposite Sun in the 6th. So 12th, 6th house oppositions are going to be highlighting the push and pull between work and chores and things you have to do and things that just kind of keep you busy, solving problems, doing just cleaning stuff, cleaning your room, vacuuming, doing the dishes, doing your laundry, cleaning your shower, just anything that you got to take care of, paying the bills, just getting stuff done goes in the 6th house. Taking care of others, helping them goes in the 6th house. Your pets go in the 6th house. And then in the 12th house, we have our meditations. We have our quiet time. With the 9th ruler in the 12th, I would say it's a good time to meditate. It's a good time to connect with the divine. It's a good time to try to connect in with your own, like bring awareness to ways you self-sabotage if that's something you're wanting to do. Because the 9th house ruler is like our belief, and it's very spiritual. It's very personal. And then it's in the 12th house, which is private. So you're exploring beliefs in private. Maybe you're reassessing your beliefs in private right now. Maybe you're quietly contemplating the things you've believed up until now. And maybe on the 15th, Leos have some realization that, of something they believe. Maybe there's an epiphany. Maybe there's a little spiritual awakening going on here. Insight, the sun bringing insight to that Mars that's there. Now, Mars also rules your 4th house of home. So it's ruling two very private psychological places, and it's in a private psychological place. So this just adds to the energy that this is about an insightful realization happening. And sometimes those don't always feel amazing. So don't expect that you're going to the clouds are going to part and the rays of sunshine are going to rain down upon you. It might be, I've had these, so I get this. It might be one of those moments where you go, oh, that's what I was doing when I was this age. And I thought if I only did this and this and this, I'd be happy. And I've been living out this pattern my whole life. It could be one of those kind of insights where you realize the bad thing, but it helps you so you can move forward. Or you realize the thing you've been doing to cause a thing that you didn't even know you were doing. Okay, so be aware of that. Maybe if I had this transit and I was a Leo, I would probably want to leave a little bit of time for contemplation and journaling to see what bubbles up, because you can get a lot out of this transit from exploring the realizations. And it could be a thing too, though, where you're doing the dishes and you get a psychic insight, because that sun is you and you're in the 6th house doing what? Solving problems, working, doing chores, stuff like that. Not all you're doing, but that's just some of it. Okay, going on to Virgos. Let's get our little thing, our little caption on. Okay, Virgos, we have the sun in the 5th and Mars in the 11th for this opposition. So Mars in the 11th might make you reassess who your friends should be, reassess what community you're in, reassess your hopes and dreams. Reassess, are the actions you're taking getting you to your hopes and dreams? And if not, why not? Like, what's the problem? And then with the 8th house being the 8th house ruler, you might be assessing how much intimacy there is in your life, or reconsidering something 8th house related, like reading tarot, or like psychic development, or like psychology, or some niche occult interest, like you're obsessed with serial killers or something else. It's always my example for this. 8th house people, okay? 8th house people are like, They got some dark little twisted thing in their mind that it's okay. It's okay. Or something very obscure, like a very obscure interest. But for the most part, this could also be debt. You're reassessing, is the debt that you've taken on for your hopes and dreams really worth it? Or is the path you're on helping you pay off your debt? What needs to be changed here? And with the sun here, maybe there's an illumination regarding that on the 15th that has to do with how much you owe others, or how connected you are to others, or how much you trust a certain person or don't trust a certain person. And then I don't think this is going to be horrible though, so don't worry. Third house ruler in the 11th is going to be, the third house can be your car, but it can also be like your car, your transportation, your environment, reassessing, realizing things about your local environment. So having some awareness that there's a drug dealer down the street you didn't know about, or something else otherwise scorpionic, right, in your environment. That's just part of the deal for Virgos to a degree, depending on, what Mars is doing in your chart. But there's that. But then let's think about what the sun's doing, because the sun for Virgos rules the 12th house. Now that's a very psychological planet in the 5th house of fun. So we have this focus on enjoyment, that maybe you're enjoying your community, and maybe it's not stressful. Maybe you are going out with a friend, or making a friend, or realizing you can trust someone more than you thought you could. Maybe you are enjoying yourself in a way that is kind of a healing experience, and enjoying your life in a way that is kind of an experience where you realize, I don't know, something, you realize something. What else there's got to be more here. So when it comes to the 11th house and the 5th house, there's a couple things I think of on the evolutionary side here, because the 11th house is like the king archetype of like, I have to give the people what they want, from that past life energy of like, I have to give the people what they want, because the king depends on public opinion and their job is over. Same with the celebrity. Now the 5th house is like the Mariah Carey house of like the diva that is like, this is what I'm making. I'm not changing it for anyone. And I don't know that she's the best example here. It's the artist who creates with no concept of the audience, the artist who gets into the flow and makes the creation. So maybe there's something in Virgo's lives where we need to consider the balance here and rebalance something. Especially those Virgos out there who do anything for public consumption, and that could be at your job, it could be otherwise. But how much are we focused on giving the people what they want, and how much are we focused on creating what we want to create? And where do we need to have balance? And it's going to be different for everyone. Some Virgos watching this will need to kill your darlings and let go of certain things, like, because nobody wants it. Sorry, I didn't want to say that. Because nobody wants your, I don't know. If you have, if you're like trying to have an actual business and nobody wants to buy it, then you got to change it so people will buy it, right? Some of you need to change it so people will buy it, or you need to make art that people want to buy so that you can have it sell. Otherwise it's not going to sell. Or you need to sell it in a way. You need to make prints because people don't want the originals of the art, or whatever it is, right? So it's changing how you package or promote or provide something to the world, how you share your creations with the community. Others of you, it's this 5th house. And when the 5th house needs more energy, what we need to do is we need to decide what we're going to do because we want to do it and it's what we want to do. And that's the reason. And when you're stuck on that 5th house, and you need balance, or you're stuck on this 11th house and you need to bring that 5th house balance, what you need to do is go, okay, you have to stake your claim. Like, imagine what you want is like you're a pioneer. and the days of the Oregon Trail, and you just have one stake and you can put it in the ground anywhere. You can only walk around so long and go back and forth and compare before you just have to decide which thing you want to do. And so for some Virgos, it's about saying, you know what? Fuck what the audience wants. I'm doing this. And how do you know which one you are? Well, if you're the one that needs to give the people what they want, that means you've probably been trying to do only what you wanted and it's not working, or it's not selling, or it's not landing right with the people you want it to land with. If you are not doing anything because you're waiting for permission, then you need to go the second way and just decide, claim it. I want to start singing because I want to sing. I've been wanting to, I just haven't done it. Or whatever it is. Okay, so and this may not be as life-changing for everyone. This might be that you've been wanting, I'm thinking to myself right now, I've been wanting to do those little paint by number things they have now for adults, because I just think it'd be so fun. And I haven't done it. It's like, this is the time, this is the moment to just buy the paint by number, guys. Or whatever thing you've been thinking about doing. You know, if you want to read The Artist's Way, or you want to take an astrology course, or you want to do something else just because it's fun, this might be the moment. There might be an insight or a realization on how you go forward with things that require courage, especially require courage or require change, where you get some insight on, like, just do it. You know, this might be a just do it moment for Virgos. But that sun illuminating Mars can also be psychic insights at this time. So like if you read tarot and stuff, this would be a good time to do that. And with third house, it could be something with your sibling going on, and it might not be even, sometimes when it's like that, it's just like, it just is. Like something happens with a sibling, something happens with an aunt and uncle, and it just is. So that is what I have for Virgo. We'll go on to the next sign, which is going to be Libras. Okay, so for Libra, let's go to, we have Mars in the 10th, we have the Sun in the 4th. Mars is in that 10th house, bringing possibly a need to reconsider, revise, go over something related to your public image or your public life for Libras. But Mars also rules relationships. So for Libras, it might be like, what is my role in this relationship? And how is this going to work? It's kind of the feeling there's something in a relationship, doesn't mean the whole relationship. There's something within it that Libras are going, how is this going to work? Some Libras on the 15th might just realize something about their partner, period, and that's it. But Mars also rules your money. So you might have a moment where your money is highlighted, and that could be positive or negative. This could be a stressful money moment on the 15th. And again, there was another sign like this that I just, basically, it might just be like the day you're waiting for a check to come in and it has that stress and tension around it. But with Mars in the 10th, Sun in the 4th, there's also potential. This is like a work-life balance thing. So from now till Wednesday, Libras might just be really busy achieving things related to their public life. And then also like diving into, it's like the seesaw of work and then home. But home is also requiring some energy and attention. And home might be like you're trying to plan a goal of some kind, or you're trying to see how things at home are going to work is what I feel for Libras. Like, how is this going to work? How does this relationship or this friendship align with my long-term goals or not? And maybe there's an awareness. And if for Libras who are single, the awareness may be more on the financial side of things and who you're with related to who you're with making money, or who you're around and whether they support your current thing you're trying to achieve. or something like that. In general, 4th and 10th house oppositions are like work-life balance. So it's like your boss is demanding this from you and your family wants this from you. So it could be like that. It could have that kind of stress, but for some reason, with the sun in Capricorn for Libras on this one, it makes me feel like home will be a nice project that is like a project after the work project. So like you go to work and you do the work project, and then you go home and you do the home project, and you're just in that energy for a couple days. It doesn't have to be like some huge thing. And especially because the sun rules the 11th house of hopes and dreams, but Mars opposite the sun might be actually stimulating your desire to live by your hopes and dreams, the ones that are going to make you happy, because it's in the 4th house. And when it's in the 4th house, we care about how we feel. We care about whether we are aligned with the thing. Okay, so that is what I have for Libras. Going on now to Scorpios. For Scorpio, the Mars-Sun opposition, Mars rules you. So Mars in the 9th, Sun in the 3rd, and Mars in your chart also is going to be ruling that 6th house. So there might be some realizations on your path because Mars is in the 9th house. It might be about realizing you don't want a hope and dream, or you don't want a quest. You know, the 9th house is like the quest. It's like the journey, far off journey. And with Mars retrograde, if you are a Scorpio who is overseas right now, you might be like, okay, time to come home. But if you're home and you're not overseas, if you've always wanted to travel long term or something, this might be a moment where you realize why not to, or you realize you should. You might be reassessing the importance of travel, of philosophy, of spirituality. You might just realize, hey, I used to read these books and I felt so good when I was doing that, and I stopped. Especially being in the 9th and 3rd house, it wouldn't be shocking if this was actually about books, reading, studying, learning, what you are observing, what you are understanding. And or there could also be a realization for Scorpios at this point about communicating what you know, and the need to communicate what you know, the desire to communicate what you know, and something related to communicating the things that you know. And so that's another thing. Now another side of this is going to be that the sun rules the 10th house. So we have the planet that rules your work in the 3rd house of like running errands and stuff. So it might just have you busy. And then Mars stimulating that. But it's Mars retrograde, so it's like in a confused way. It's stimulating that in a confused way. Maybe some pressure and stress is happening at work or related to some of the plans you have with your next steps in career that are making you feel like you're running around with like a chicken with your head cut off. Like you are doing busy, but busy in a way that it's like you're not going straight in a straight line for the thing. Also with the sun in the 3rd, Mars retrograde in the 9th, you could also be, sometimes I think of the 9th, 3rd house. The 9th house is like far off places, but the 3rd house, okay, the 9th house is like the house of God, but the 3rd house is the house of the goddess. And I think of a little bit of the 3rd house can be our physicality. Okay, no one says this, but I do think it can be our physical world. So when the sun's here, you're just maybe, doing your hair, doing your nails, doing your, cleaning your room, taking care of your physical life, washing your car, doing all that stuff. And the bigger quest or the bigger, more meaningful stuff is kind of set aside at the moment. Maybe there's a feeling like you can't do it all. You can't take care of all the things you need to take care of, and also do the things that you find meaningful. Or maybe when there's an opposition, sometimes you're diving all the way into one and diving all the way into another. So Scorpios might be doing these deep meditations or reading this really out there or really interesting spiritual text, and then going to work and going to the grocery store like you're a regular person. I bet it's that. Scorpios, let me know. I bet it's that. We're going to go on now to Sagittarius's. Okay, Sagittarius. We have, what do we have? We have the Sun in the 2nd, Mars in the 8th. So making money versus owing money, this is highlighted. But with the Sun in the 2nd, it feels more like the making money side is the clear direction at the moment. And the debt or the owing or the, money you owe people, taxes might be the thing opposing the money. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean your money is going to get cut right now. It feels a little bit more like you need a little bit of both here. It's like you're pulled in both directions of you making more money for yourself, but also you making more business income or making more from someone giving you money, or like you're making more money, so now you're paying off debt, or you have a loan that just came due. And so now you have to make more. And you have to pay more and you're going to make more. This, for Sagittarius, this doesn't feel like you're going to lose money off this transit. It feels like money is highlighted. Now, for some of you, it might be your possessions. It might be your possessions. So this could be you, like, buying the things you need to like take care of yourself and the things you need to have and like sustenance. And then also being like, okay, how am I going to pay off this debt? And just trying to do them both all at the same time. But let's consider that the Sun rules the 9th house and Mars for Sagittarius is going to rule your 12th house. And it's also going to rule your 5th house. So just let's think about the 12th and the 12th house ruler opposite the 9th house ruler. That's going to be very spiritual and very psychological. So I almost wonder for Sagittarius, you guys have to let me know if it plays out like this, but it feels like for Sagittarius, something you're dealing with this week might bring you up against your own limiting beliefs around money. Your own feeling like you can't make a certain amount or you know, like you have just this upper limit of how much you've made. There's a book about that. And this opposition is like, it's tense because maybe you're getting an offer and you don't know how much you can ask. Maybe you're like applying for a job and you don't know how much you can ask for. Maybe you just got a really crappy offer. And I'm talking about on the 15th. So this is in the future. Maybe you get a crappy offer and you're like, ouch, that really hurts. Or maybe it's more, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to use an example in my life. One time when I was doing tarot readings, my roommate was like, we can do this. We can do a trade for your reading, or I can just pay you. And all I had to do was say, you can pay me. But that I had to freak out and I had to call someone and be like, I don't know what to do. They were just like, tell him to pay you. He said he could pay you. So if you're someone out there who, I'm going off topic here, but is like in that boat, just know I was there too. And just tell him to pay you, Sagittarius. It might be something like that where it's more of a psychological fear of a thing coming up related to finances. So just be aware of this going into the next few days, Sagittarius. Be aware of what is your dialogue around finances this week. Now, for some of you, it may not be that much into the psychological side of it. It's just don't blow your money or sabotage something financially just because you're feeling a little bit of stress right now. That's what I would say for advice. Just watch that. And for some of you, that might be what it's about. But it could be a bunch of stuff. Like some of you might sell something to make some extra cash to pay off a debt you have or to pay someone back or something. Some of you might be that Sun in the 2nd house can also be you just focusing on your possessions and cleaning them all up and making them all look nice, but then also being pulled into that eighth house of like the psychic world or the other side of the veil. It's like the material versus the psychic and non-material. But then there's also the second and eighth house to me can also be about myself and others, my own goals, my own. It's like when you go into, you have your own plans and you're like, I'm doing this, and there's walls around it. And that could be like, from this time to this time, no one's I'm not answering my phone, right? Like, I'm going to create boundaries around myself and focus in on one thing that I really need to focus on. This eighth house is focusing on others and letting your life kind of attend to the needs of others, and not in the moments that you don't have an agenda, you're just sharing space with people. So this might be a time where you stretch in that a little bit more. If you're too sharing, you might stretch in the setting the boundary. And if you're too boundaried, you might stretch in the ability to kind of merge with people and share energy with people and not have an agenda and just be in the time and space that you're in with someone and let things unfold. So that's a great place to stop for Sagittarius. We will go on now to our next sign, which is going to be Capricorn. And all right, so here we go for Capricorns. We have the sun in the first, Mars in the seventh. Usually first, seventh oppositions are going to highlight relationship dynamics, and usually it's an imbalance. The imbalance sometimes is going to be the partner's away and you're more focused on the self at the moment, or the partner is requiring more of you and there's more focus on the relationship. Because it's Mars retrograde, it feels like there might be little fights if you're in a relationship, little arguments, little disagreements, or even kind of a bigger disagreement of something that kind of maybe needs to change or needs to be addressed, some kind of conflict that brings up an issue that requires attention. And that's not the only way this can go, though. So let's think about Mars rules the fourth house, and it also rules the 11th house. So the 11th house is great. It's like one of the good houses. The fourth house is our private feelings. 11th house ruler in the seventh for Capricorns who are single. This could be a time where you meet someone in a crowd or in a group event who becomes a relationship. That's not going to be everyone, but just because Mars is retrograding your seventh doesn't mean your relationship goes to crap. It's not like that. It could be a highlighted moment where it's like, ooh, here's a hope and dream. Here's a person who would be a dream to be with. It could be, you go on a date with someone you met in a group. Other things for Capricorn here could be, let's say you're not dating. Well, what hopes and dreams do you have? On Wednesday, pay attention to this. Pay attention to what your hopes and dreams are, because they're going to be highlighted, especially if you have not done exactly what you need to be doing for it. You're going to realize it. So use that energy to your advantage by giving yourself some time and space to focus on that. Now, the sun opposite the fourth house, if your parents are in your life and their opinions are really important, for some Capricorns, this could be a mom or a dad being like, you shouldn't do this, that kind of thing. And they're, kind of against your own self-expression, your natural form of self-expression. The sun rules your eighth house. So the eighth house is the house of transformation. Also, it can be debt, other people's money. Mars here can cut. Okay. Mars here can cut some debt. It can cut some taxes. It can cut some alimony, or I don't know why I use that word, child support payments or whatever. It can cut it. Or, we could just see a focus and a real importance being placed on the 15th. And it might not be placed. It might just be around the 15th. How you're spending your money matters. But this isn't just your money. It's other people's money, but it's in the house of you. So it's like, maybe some of you get money from parents or from your friends. Maybe some of you do. But many of you Probably that it won't be exactly like that. It might be you use money from a tax or a tax or like a benefit or a payout or something to benefit your self-image. Buy clothes, do things to change your image. That's what I would guess for that. But overall, that first seventh house axis is always going to be about me versus you. Me versus you. My identity, my money versus your. It could even be for some Capricorns, some of you maybe got some money and now the way other people are reacting to you, it's having to deal with that. So this is like the moment a friend comes to you and asks for money because they think you got an inheritance and you're like, oh, it's like that now. So clarity around relationship dynamics, not necessarily the resolution, but probably a moment of insight here for Capricorn. So we'll go on to our next sign, which is Aquarius. Okay, so for Aquarius, we have, what do we have? We have Mars in the 6th, opposite the Sun in the 12th on the 15th of January. So let me put this back a day. So we're a little more, it's still past it, but that's okay. All right, so we have, you can't even see that, can you? No. Never mind. Okay, Aquarius. Mars in the 6th usually makes you busier. Okay, usually it picks up the pace with your daily activities, your habits, what you got to do. Sun in the 12th usually makes you more focused on privacy, illuminates your own thoughts, your own contemplative moments, your spiritual path, your prayers, if you say them, your angels, your guides, whatever you connect with like that, the sun will illuminate it. Okay, so time to, when the sun's in the 12th, you might be just spending more time in meditation or contemplation, or there's a focus here. And so this dynamic, Mars and the sun opposite, kind of shows us that for Aquarius around the 15th, there might be a push and pull between the stuff you have to do in your chores or in your work or in your things you just have to get done versus your spiritual life or your something like that. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like you have this spiritual event online you want to go to or something like that that's at a specific time, but you have to do all this stuff right at that time. And like the only time you can get your car in to get the oil changes right at the time you wanted to do that thing. And, you have to kind of pick which one you're going to fully focus on. Now, the other way this might show up might not be so stressful. It might be Aquarius is diving fully into some kind of work project they have to get done. And then when they're home, diving fully into being totally by themselves, zoning out, playing video games, watching sports, whatever you do when you're alone by yourself to just not, to cope and like relax and recharge. All right, so let's consider now the next level, which is the sun, and sun ruling the 7th house of relationships and Mars ruling the 3rd house and the 10th house. So this might be kind of a thing where like your boss wants this, but your wife wants that. Or your boss wants this and your husband or boyfriend wants that. Or something like that where you can't do both. You had a date and now you have to work late on that night. It can be something that's simple, but it can also be more of the overarching theme of, are my relationships supporting my work goals? Are they hindering them? Is this your wife screaming like a banshee at you at night before a big work day the next day and just messing it up? Or your boyfriend, having this influence on you that is challenging and getting in the way or causing problems with a work goal? Or is it more, sometimes oppositions are more like you're dating the person, the dating life is a filled, full, active area of life, and you're working and work is a full, active, filled area of life. And you're like, okay, now I got to go do all this work, and now I got to go on the date, and now I got to go back to work, and and it's like, I'm feeling for Aquariuses, for some of you, it might be more like that, where it's the filled up thing. Now, we didn't even talk about the third house being maybe there's a sibling or a cousin involved here, or an aunt and uncle. Maybe there's some family stress that's taking you away, like you're spending time helping family, which you would normally spend with your relationship, or you would normally spend doing your own thing, and so you get less downtime. So it doesn't feel, I mean, it just feels like a little bit of an imbalance during the next few days for Aquariuses related to chores, work, activity versus downtime, and those things not being, you're being stretched thin there, and that's okay. So I'm going days. Hold on. I got to go hours onto Pisces. 1 second. Okay. For Pisces, last but not least, let's get your name up there. Okay, so for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising, what do we got? We got Mars in the 5th house, and it is opposite the Sun in the 11th. Mars in the 5th rules your money, and it rules your 9th house of meaning in life, and the Sun rules your 6th house of what you got to do. So what you got to do to take it could be like the second house is money. So money, self-employment income. This is being stressed by your current problems. It's almost like your problems cost more than your money can pay, like you have more things to fix than you have money in your bank to fix them with. So you're like, what thing do I want more? Which problem? And it's almost like, which problem, if we did this in a rational perspective, which problems are going to help me reach my goals the fastest if I solve them now? What's the most responsible thing to do? That might be what Pisces are going through the next few days. But let's see if we can get a little deeper than that, because sometimes that 5th house and the 11th house is about, especially if you do any kind of creative work or self-employment, it's about us creating the creation versus the people, giving the people what they want, and having this push and pull between that. So this could be Pisces. Let's say Pisces is a painter, for example. Fill this in with what makes sense to you. The painter paints, and then the painter sells the painting, right? But when this is an opposition, it's like you're painting and then you're selling the painting, and then the painting gets sold and then you're going back and painting more. And it's like there's no rest, and it can feel like you're stretched in all directions. You can't be in the painting, making the painting at the same exact time that you are selling the painting or putting it on social media. I mean, you could technically record that, but the point is that these are two different energies. The energy of being in the flow of the creation versus the energy of putting the creation out there and making whatever you're creating, whether what you create is a painting or what you create is a spreadsheet you just worked on at work, that creation that you create, that you put into being in life, is maybe it's visible right now, and maybe there's some kind of conversation related to finances. Why? Because money is coming up here. So this could be you having a little chat with your own self about it, but it could also be someone at work or something else that's like you're having a conversation about what you have to do to make money, but it doesn't really feel, I gotta be honest, this doesn't feel like a break you've been waiting for. It doesn't have that feeling. It feels a little bit more because the sun rules the sixth house. It feels a little bit more like maybe you get to do work you've always wanted. Maybe this is a small little hope and dream you're getting. But it's like, oh, but there's some strings attached here, right? So it's like, yeah, you get the job, but then you have to work overtime, or it has that feeling to it. Okay, let me see what else this could be. Let's talk about the ninth house here. The ninth house being the house of God, and it's in the fifth house of creativity and fun. So this could just be a time for Pisces in general, while Mars is in Cancer, to reassess how close you feel you are to your own higher power, whatever you would call that, and whether you need to change that so you can enjoy your life and bring more of that meaningful feeling into what you do. Maybe you realize there's some kind of creative outlet that feels divinely inspired that you have an insight around. Like you're in the middle of playing your guitar and singing and you just realize, damn, I was made for this, or you just have a moment of bliss where you're like, this is what's meaningful. This is what matters. Or something else along those lines. But the sun, if you're a Pisces who's like, I've been wanting to get my money straight or something like that, this would be a time where I would think that I would be open to insights around finances. If you've been thinking, oh, I need to figure out how much money I need to make and how much I owe and what I would say this transit might support that activity. It might naturally give you some kind of insight on finances. And usually though, when there's a retrograde planet, it's going to be the insight on what needs to change, how you're overspending, how you need to, just the awareness. It can dawn on you, right? It can dawn on you like, oh yeah, I did spend that much money on eating out last month. And if I just put that money into paying off debt, and you do the math and you go, oh, that would take me this much time. And if I don't, it's going to take me 25 years, right? Or something like that. Let me think what else, because the sun is in the 11th. So it does make solving problems more of a positive thing. Okay. What kind of problem? Well, paying bills, insurance, other kind of problem. Depends on what your problems are. Whatever your problems are, maybe there's a little bit more of an ability to solve those problems using money. But maybe it's like, this could also be a thing where it's like the stress from the opposition comes from the payout. Like maybe you have to pay on the insurance. And it's like, yeah, that's solving a problem. I have insurance now, but I had to pay a big ass amount of money and now I don't have any. Or, so there's some kind of financial clarity, probably financial clarity, spiritual clarity. These are the possibilities here. And then there's also maybe some tension, financial tension, or even spiritual tension. Maybe there's something. So what is spiritual tension? It's like, I'm taking a job where I can't go to the church I want anymore. Or the if you're a church person, a lot of you are not, because I'm not, but it's okay if you are, you can totally be here. The person at the church, you went to a spiritual church and they said all the shit you didn't like. And you're like, okay, not going to go to that church. Spiritual tension. Don't agree with the guru. Okay. That's spiritual tension. So some of you Pisces might have that. But I still do see Mars in the 5th as like a positive, right? It's the fun house, and the sun in the 11th is a positive. It's like the house of hopes and dreams. So you might be getting insight into something, maybe even going back, right? Because it's retrograde, going back to something you used to do for fun that, or having the realization that you should start doing that thing again that made you so happy. So I'm going to stop there for Pisces. I hope you enjoyed this. You can also get my Blocks to Blessings video. That is out. There is a link in the description. You can grab that. It is only going to go through when? the 28th of January. So if you want to get in on that, make sure you grab it now, as there's a limited amount. And I hope you beautiful souls have a great week. Also, if you want more on the energy of right now, be sure to check out the video on the North Node entering Virgo and Pisces. That's the transit of the moment. That video is already up. You can watch your sun, moon, and rising on that one as well. And you should go watch it right now. All right, guys. Have a beautiful day. I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.